Well, wasn't that a good week we had? Jerry Powell comes out and says he's going to reduce interest rates. Stock market explodes 1,000 points, settles around 800 or 900, and interest rates are coming down. Everything is just dandy. Maybe. We keep seeing, do you know why that Jerry Powell decided he was going to reduce interest rates? Because they realized that employment is cratering. And here, this is the fourth time I've been through something like this. So I'm going to tell you, there's 7 things that we need to do right now so that you can get rich, because you're going to have a tremendous opportunity coming to you probably in 6 to 18 months. You just stay right here and we'll tell you when it's a good time to get into water. There's sharks running all the way. You don't want to get in there right yet, but I'm going to tell you, it's going to get really, really good. And no one else is going to want to do this. So let's talk about this. Let me go to my next slide. By the way, if you like my videos, give me a thumbs up. Tell your friends about it. We need some subscriptions to get up. You know, everybody and his brother is doing a video talking about the market is crashing. We've been talking about this for really 2 or 3 years because our timing model went off in June of 2022, if you can believe that. And we've been very, very cautious since then. And our timing model is starting to indicate a change of trend right now. But in the meantime, we're going to go through some pretty rough patch. So you can go ahead and listen to them. You know, I've been doing this for 50 years. I have my own personal portfolio that keeps me smiling all the time. I'm not concerned about what's coming because my portfolio is solid. Cash flows like a rock. If it's not cash flowing, you need to call us. Call your broker. Let's find out. Let me go to my first slide. Let's just talk about what we see and what is going on in this market of ours. Let's see, where are we here? There we go. Now, of course, federal fund is going to cut the rate. But if you look at this, every time they cut the rate right before, man, look at this. They keep cutting rates. But what happens? We go into recession, or we're in a recession. Look at when they cut rates, we're in recession. Look what happens. Look at this. Every time they do that, we just go into a recession. And I'm going to tell you, look at here. I lived through this one. 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 And now this is going to supersede all of them. This is going to be really, really scary. And we're going to get a rate cut. And you know what's going to happen? We're going to have one of these gray bars right in front of it, because every time these guys reduce interest rates, we have a recession right behind it. And everybody says, well, as soon as we reduce interest rates, well, you know what? Everybody's going to be able to buy a house, because every time you reduce your interest rate by 0.5 point, we add like 200,000 or 300,000 buyers. Affordability gets better. Yes, affordability is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, going to get a lot better, but it is going to be brutal. And why do I say that is because why are they reducing interest rates to begin with? They're scared. They've suddenly realized that we lost 650,000 jobs in the last 3 months. And we still have, not only losing, we're shutting jobs like crazy, but we also have like 1.7 million that can't find a job. So we're adding to that each and every time. So we're at 4.2%, but if you add in the people who are in longer term unemployment, it's up over 5%. That's a scary figure. And so what happened in the last one, remember, I've been around for a long time. What happens is that the rates come down, but people have lost their job. They've gotten behind on their house payment. They got behind on their car payments, got behind on their credit cards, and they can't buy because they can't get a loan. And yes, interest rates are coming down. We've been talking about that. If you come to my seminars, you come to my classes, we've been talking about the fact that we're going to get under 5. I don't know if we're going to go into the 4s, but we're certainly going under 5s, only for a small window. And then on the outlying years, we have inflation coming. And we just saw that. We just saw the producer price index tick up. It bears interest. It's not a trend yet. It just ticked up, but it's coming. And then we have interest rates longer term, 8 to 13%. So here's your opportunity to snag properties cheap, and here's your opportunity to snag a really long-term 30-year fixed rate mortgage that's going to look like gold in just a few years. So I want you to prepare. We're going to know about the 7 things you need to do right now. And also, by the way, I'm getting calls all the time that says, should I sell my house? You know, there is not one size fits all. I wish I could just tell you the exact answer every single time. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I am not selling my portfolio, but my portfolio is free and clear. A lot of my tenants have been with me 5, 10, 15 years. I'm not concerned about them. But if you're not, you need to talk to your advisors. You can call us and we'll go over this, because this is something, it's certainly a concern, because yes, we see home prices coming down fairly significantly. So let me go to my next slide here, and let's just talk about that, and let's get to this. Now, here's one of the reasons we say this. Now look at this. You see that this credit cards have gone up. They're over $1.2 trillion. And not only that, now we have this buy now, pay later, which is also over $1.2 million. It's not included. We don't have a chart for that. So we're seeing that the consumer, and remember, we're 70% of our business is consumers. And when these consumers are tapped out, they don't buy. And you can see this. Look, we have record low savings. I've shown this many, many times. This isn't magically healing itself. And now what are we seeing? We're seeing IRAs and 401ks, because that's the last place people have for any kind of cash. So they're going into retirement accounts. We can see that. You can see it empirically. People are going to their 401ks and their IRAs and taking money out, paying the penalty, but they need the money. So all of the cash and credit sources are being tapped out. So you can reduce the interest rates all you want. There's just no one left that can go ahead and afford to buy. That's where we come in. You know, I've been telling you there's going to be a change of trend. And when that change of trend comes, when that cycle completes and starts up again, we are going to be there and we're going to buy. Let me go to my next slide, and let's just open this up so you can see it. Pretty interesting stuff, honestly. It's just crazy. And you wonder, where are all these going to come from? So I'm going to tell you that the Federal Housing Administration insured 3.9 million mortgages since 2020. So from 2020 to 2024, they insured almost 4 million. And they're crowing about the fact that they provided loss mitigation for 1.7 million of them. They took a 40% loss. 40% of the properties that they underwrote, 40%. They're not making any payments. They had to go to loss mitigation. So 4 out of 10 loans that you write go bad. Instead of foreclosing them, you put in loss mitigation, and the government has been making their payments sometimes for 3 years, 4 years. People haven't made a payment in 3 or 4 years because they're in loss mitigation and are not being foreclosed. Well, I got news for you. That train has left the station. Let me get to my next slide here. And we're seeing 12.29% of FHAs are delinquent, just FHAs, and we're going to make fortunes. So this is, Charles Hugh Smith is a forward thinker. He sent this out to us just saying this is what's going to happen because it's part of his bubble strategies and analysis. But we're going to get buy points. This first one's coming pretty soon. Now, you notice it's not the highest. Now, I don't care if we get the very bottom. This will be the bottom. I want to start buying properties all through here. I want to get most of the risk removed because we're long-term players and we're going to be in this for a really, really long time. And these are going to give us very good buying opportunities. That very first one is when you have someone that's in trouble that owns multiple properties. They put everything on the market. And you know what happens? The good ones sell. And we want to buy the good ones. We want to buy those extraordinary properties that are coming to market. And that's when they come to market. Now, remember, my timing model told you when the trophy properties were coming. That happened right on time. And I'm telling you, the really, really, really good properties are going to be coming probably in 6 to 18 months. We'll tell you. We've got some signposts that are going to have to happen along the way. But it's the change of trend is clearly evident in my outlying years. So we're certainly going to do this. So let me open this up and let me go to my next slide, because I want you to succeed on this. This is what I expect is going to happen. Now, we have to get down here in a pretty fast fashion, because it's 4 years, it's 14 years up and 4 years down. So we need to get down here pretty quick, because we've stayed relatively, some places here in Phoenix are down 15%. And, we've got to get down here. So we're going to have a waterfall on prices. Now, just keep this in mind. So when we have first-time home buyers, remember, a Case-Shiller doesn't pick up the brand new homes that have been sold in the last couple, 2 or 3 years. They don't pick that up, so it's not in their metrics. It's in our metrics. We use really good metrics for it. So let's just do a scenario. You're a young person. You bought your very first home. What do you typically use as FHA? 3.5% down payment. Then you have mortgage insurance premium that almost all of them finance, which is. So then after they finance their MIP, they've got less than 2% equity in the property. Now, we saw appreciation stop in 2022. So if you've got 2% equity in a property, anytime when it drops, you're underwater. And we have here in Phoenix tens of thousands of those. Across the country, we have millions of them. And FHA is already experiencing 1.2 million delinquents, because that's what happens, which means that we've got foreclosures and we have short sales, and someone needs to clear those out. And we're going to raise our hands and say, we'll help clean up the mess. You just have to give us a discount. But that's coming. We see it coming. We see it on our charts. That's the what. And now we're seeing it on the economics, and that's the why. Let me go to my next slide, and let's just talk about what we're going to do about all this. Let me go there, and let's move forward. Because I think we could have a severe retracement. Now, remember, it's going to be local. Places that are overbuilt and over exuberant, that really got crazy, they're most at risk. I don't know what we'll do here at Phoenix, because we're really one of the top markets in the entire world right here. But the potential is for a very, very huge correction in an ongoing bull market. So we could retrace back to here. And if that were the case, it came anywhere through here, we're going to buy like crazy. So look at, this is what you need to do. Now, this is not a drill. If you want to get rich, this is what you need to do. We're not going to play around with this. This is what you have to do. So let me just talk about, first, quit spending. If you don't need it, don't buy it. And if you really, really need it, go ahead and buy it. But make sure you really, really need it. Quit spending. Quit buying things. Amazon doesn't need. Amazon's already got a lot of money. Quit spending. We have already a subscription economy, which means that we have things that consistently get redone. So when you have your insurance comes up on your car or your home or your rentals, make sure you bid it. If you can save 5 or 10% by moving to a different company, it gets you the same coverage, but they want to be a little aggressive on their rates so that they can get people. Well, why don't you put that 5 or 10% in your pocket? Same with your gym memberships. If you're not using your gym memberships, get rid of them. Same with your subscriptions. Take a look at your online services. If you're not using them, get rid of them, or see if there isn't a better deal. Call them up and ask them, if, as a loyal customer, if you can't get a better rate. Pay down debt or eliminate it. That's a tough one for a lot of people. Do you realize that most of these credit card companies are in the 20s, almost going to 30%? I would love to have that money. Could you imagine getting a 20 or 30% return on your money? Holy cow. I can't. But the credit cards can, and they are just destroying you. Get rid of your credit card debt. Get rid of it. Pay it down. Stop buying and get rid of it all. We're going to do this. We'll put a program together so that in 7 years, you can buy anything you want. You can go anywhere, stay as long as you want. And your property managers they'll just keep stuffing money into your savings accounts and credit and checking accounts so that you can go spend. But not yet. You need to stop spending. Get rid of that debt. Pay your debt down. You're going to need to, if you just start, get out a program, start paying these things off, because we're going to want to leverage, which means we're going to be borrowing some money. Now, we've been coming out of a place where we've been talking mostly cash. We're going to be going into a place where we're talking about a lot of leverage, and we're going to want to buy everything we possibly can. And you're going to need to be able to borrow, which means get rid of your debt. Let me go to my next slide here and see what we got. Yeah. So secure additional income streams. Look at, we're already, you can see the fact that we're going to have a tough marketplace. I'm hearing from high tech, a lot of IT. We're seeing high net worth individuals that are laying people off. You know what Ronald Reagan said? Recession is when your neighbor loses his job, and a depression is when you lose yours. So get another job. Go out and find another job. There's nothing wrong with delivering pizzas or working at a grocery store a few hours. Go to Costco or Home Depot. They're always hiring. They're always looking for good people. If you're good people, go get an extra 10 or 15 or 20 hours. Use that as down payment on our next. And here's the other thing. Develop a unique set of skills. If you know how to change tires, if you know how to change oil, if you know how to, change gas pumps and stuff in cars, what a great deal that is. Learn how to do that. If you can install garbage disposal or microwaves, or if you can put in lights or fans, pick up a side gig for yourself. Start doing that and take that money, pay off your debts, and start saving some down payment, because we are going to make a fortune, literally a fortune. There'll be a lot of people losing their houses and cars. I don't want you to be one of them. We want to be one of the ones that say, okay, we'd be more than happy to buy that house. We're going to have to take it as a severe discount just to help everybody out. That's where we're going with this. So you need to be ready. So also, I'm going to want you to talk to your lender. Make sure that you're ready to go, because it's coming. 6 to 18 months, we're ready to go. Let me go talk about the next one here so I can see that. Now, I'd take a look at all my monthly expenses every chance I possibly can. I would take a look at absolutely everything. Don't drive if you don't need to drive. Have two of you go to the grocery stores. Here's the other thing. Why do you have to buy a lunch every day? Take your leftovers from last night. Here's just one little thing here. Let's just think about this. If you take a sack lunch from your dinner last night, you'll save $15, at least $15. If there's two of you in a household, that's $30 a day times 5 days. It's $150 a week. That's like $7,500 a year you can save. Put that down on down payment. Let's get rid of it. Here's one that you're going to like. How about that cappuccino that you buy? Well, let's quit drinking the cappuccinos. Not only do you save money, you lose weight. No cappuccinos for a year, you're going to save 10 pounds. Everybody loves that. Can't be too rich, can't be too thin. And I have to say this again. You have to listen to this. You need to save. Every chance you get, you got to do it. Now, I'm going to tell you, you're going to sacrifice for the next couple of years, maybe 2-3 years. And after that, you can start having anything you want, because life is going to get good. But it's going to get very, very tough. Only the strong are going to survive. When I tell you it's time to buy, you're going to say, it is not. I don't want to buy. Look what's going on. This isn't right. But yes, just think what Warren Buffett is doing. He's selling all this stuff. He's not buying anything. He just bought D.R. Horton. So what does that tell you? So you need to start thinking about this stuff. Call me if you have any questions. Let me go to my very next slide, and let's just talk about that, because I think that's the end of it. That's me. I am here in Phoenix, Arizona, probably the very best market in the entire world. We have the Taiwan Semiconductor here that just got a contract for $100 billion. And it's not going to happen. It's happening right now. It's underway. They're producing chips. And the projections is 62,000 employees. And this isn't like warehouse workers or laborers or anything. These are high-paid, high tech jobs. People can make a lot of money. So probably here in Phoenix, we're one of the best markets in the world. If you have any questions at all, remember, give me a thumbs up. Watch my other videos. And if you need me, you know where you can get me. My best to you guys. Bye-bye now.